They laughed the first time they saw her take off. The tiny plane, a weathered Cessna with more patches than paint, sputtered along the runway, its wings trembling as if unsure of their own strength. "She'll never make it," muttered one of the airport mechanics, shaking his head. "That little thing couldn't even cross the county line without a breakdown." But Emma never let their words reach her heart. She had always flown small planes, not for glory or money, but for the sheer love of the sky, the freedom it offered, and the chance to serve people in ways few could. For years, Emma had delivered medical supplies to remote villages, flown stranded hikers to safety, and even carried desperately needed vaccines during outbreaks. Most of the time, she was invisible. Few noticed the old Cessna hopping from one tiny airstrip to another. But Emma didn't need recognition, she needed only the knowledge that she was making a difference. On one crisp autumn morning, Emma loaded her small plane with emergency communication devices and a shipment of relief supplies for a northern town cut off by a sudden snowstorm. Her neighbors chuckled as she taxied down the runway. "Better make it back before the ice catches you," someone called. Emma smiled politely and lifted into the pale blue sky, the little engine humming like a determined heartbeat. Hours later, she flew over snow-laden forests, clouds pressing close around her, when a piercing crackle came over the radio. "Unidentified aircraft, identify yourself. Viper, return to base immediately." Emma froze. NORAD. She had only ever heard of it in documentaries, not in real life. Her heart pounded. She answered calmly, "This is Emma Hayes, civilian pilot. I am carrying emergency medical supplies to Northville, isolated due to severe weather." No threat intended. There was a long silence. Then, unexpectedly, the voice softened. "Civilian pilot. We've been tracking your flight. Your course is unusual, but your purpose, it is admirable. Continue to Northville. Proceed with caution." Emma blinked. She had not sought attention, she had only tried to help. Yet, in that instant, the enormity of her small flights, the ones everyone mocked, hit her. She realized that even the smallest acts of courage could ripple far beyond what anyone imagined. By the time she landed on the snow-packed airstrip, the villagers were huddled, anxious and shivering. Their town had been cut off for days. Emma unloaded boxes of supplies, sharing blankets and food, and even fixing a generator with tools she carried in the plane's tiny compartment. The villagers stared in awe at the tiny plane, now looking more like a hero's chariot than an old, patched aircraft. Among the crowd, an elderly man approached her. His hands were shaking, but his eyes were full of gratitude. "We've waited for days, no one else could get through," he said. "But you." He paused, choked up. "You came. You flew this little plane through a storm and delivered hope." Emma smiled, feeling warmth bloom in her chest. She realized that the quiet life she had led, the flights that seemed insignificant, had carried more impact than she had ever imagined. As night fell and she prepared to take off, the radio crackled again. "Viper, civilian pilot. Exceptional work. Your dedication saved lives today. NORAD acknowledges your courage." Emma sat back, stunned. The message wasn't just official acknowledgement, it was validation of the countless flights nobody had celebrated, the quiet persistence that went unnoticed. But more than that, it was proof that compassion and selflessness could be recognized in even the most unexpected ways. The next morning, news of her heroic flight spread beyond the town, reaching newspapers and social media. People marveled at the tiny plane that braved a storm to save lives. Some still mocked at first, but soon the laughter turned to respect, and eventually, to inspiration. Emma didn't seek fame, but she understood that the story of a single person's courage could ignite hope in many hearts. Years later, Emma would look back on that flight not as a personal triumph, but as a reminder, even the smallest effort, when guided by kindness and bravery, could create ripples that reached far beyond imagination. The people she helped, the lives she touched, and even the voices that once doubted her, all became part of a chain of humanity she had helped strengthen. And every time she climbed into her little plane, engine humming beneath her, she smiled, knowing that courage doesn't require a giant, and heroism doesn't need a fleet. Sometimes, all it takes is a single heart willing to soar.